No, they think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, wait, I'm here. Who wants to fight me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
Our goal is to demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all of the belts, all of the titles.
Welcome to Bodywork.
Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Bodywork Boxing. It feels so good to be back. I would say just another manic Monday, but it's nothing real manic about today. What I have done was I always like to let the beat build, man, and let boxing breathe for a second and not be a knee-jerk reactionist and reflect so that you're not going off of impulses and emotion. And I did that. I put my ears to the street. This is Z-Pulse of boxing. Salute to ASO Stain, Cookie Monster, Smart Girl Video. AC is in the building. I appreciate you. Mic check, 1 2 1 2, sounding crystal clear. I appreciate you. Smart Girl Video. That's what's up. But I put my ears out in the street, man, and I gotta say, man, when it comes down to the sport, just like a lot of other genres, right? I look at a lot of other genres. This is not only isolated down to boxing, but when it comes down to real boxing talk, dialogue that's not influenced or agenda driven. Of course, we have an agenda, like, right? You want people to listen, right? You want to be agreeable. You want to be, a spot or a voice that, people get some entertainment out of. This is the entertainment arena, right? But I realized, man, like, we are the last of the Mohicans, man. Yeah, man, we at a time now where if it goes against the masses, if you're gonna be that salmon swimming upstream, you better bring something to the table, because it's probably not gonna work out for you, man. You know how many channels I've seen that actually started and they either mimicked off of somebody else or they did whatever. I see them now. People do it to me now. I'm like, man, that's flattery. You know what I'm saying? People jumping in on my time slot, taking things that was said in the video, making shorts out of it. It's flattery to me, but I have seen a lot of channels do this, and they be going hard. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, around about that 6 month time, they crack, they fold under the pressure. They learn a harsh lesson. A lot of people are born originals and they die copies, man. And a lot of people just want to be down like Brandy, man. You ain't got to worry about that over here. We are the 300. All we need is a few good men and women, man. People that are willing to say what needs to be said, even when it's not comfortable. Hence, silence is consent. All it takes for evil to prevail is for men and women to remain silent. So we got to speak to the things that need to be spoken to in boxing. I've noticed some double standards, and we're going to get into it. How you doing, AC?
Man, everything good, man. Sunday was a down day for me. I just basically rested all day and stuff like that. Got some much needed rest and clarity and things like that. And overall, bro, just peeking through and just looking at thumbnails and stuff like that, it's kind of disappointing. But I'll keep I'll hold that part to the vest right now, and when we get into that section, I'll elaborate on it a little bit more. But I thoroughly enjoyed this this weekend's boxing and stuff like that, and it does give me hope. But the fans and some other part, just like, wow. I don't know about you guys.
That's interesting you say that, man, because I didn't share the housekeeping with you this time, but let's go ahead and get into it, man. I ain't gonna do no long drawn. I don't even know if this gonna be a long episode or not. I always say that and it wind up being long. But let's get into the housekeeping. Number one, fan etiquette is a lost art. You know, what do you mean, Mike? If you listen, I'm gonna tell you, right? Fan etiquette is a lost art. I see it in all these other sports, man. There's people that they're diehard football fans, diehard basketball. I used to be a diehard football. I still got love for it, but I'm fully on with boxing now. You know what I'm saying? I'm a one sport man. I'll peep at something if it's going on in the playoffs. You know, I'm gonna check out my Eagles and see what they got going on, but like I said, I went live about boxing during the Super Bowl. I did gaff, really, especially when I realized that it was fixed. You know, but we got to learn how to get back to just being fans sometimes. I know if you create content, then you got to be, sometimes you kind of got to be a little, you got to try to aim to be more fair. See, I understand, like, that's why when I say the Bud Only fans or the Devin Only fans or the, you know, whatever, the Shakur Only fan. Like, when I say Only fans, I'm saying like the ones that's all they rock with. Like, it don't care, it don't matter. That's all they going for. I'm not an Only fan. I'm not. I'm a fan of boxing. I'm not gonna put not one single solitary boxer above the game. Why? Because these boxers come and go. All it takes is for your boxer to get hit in the head, and it's a wrap. So I've kind of learned, that's why I said, even though I'm one of the biggest Tank fans in the world, I don't base everything off of him. I'll speak my little whatever. He's like a sliver of the pie of the channel. You know what I'm saying? A lot of my guys, they're just a sliver of the pie. I don't come out here. If I just did, I probably could get a little bit bigger or grow whatever and just have everybody for these 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 boxers, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just doing round robin about them. But I try not to do that. I've been a little bit more selfish talking about American boxing because American boxing is hurting, it's hemorrhaging. And there's so many people that are so biased and not keeping it real that we really need that. Like, look at the heavyweight division. Look at how they letting Usyk just do whatever the hell he wants. We can't get an American heavyweight to save our life. But just sometimes, man, like, I guess if you're a fan of the sport, just be a fan of the sport. If you find yourself making a double standard for your favorite fighter that you hold the ops to this standard, but then your favorite fighter, he could do no wrong, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, you got to knock it off. And I'm realizing that, like, just being a fan, just being like, oh, okay, cool, good fight, doing an honest, fair critique and assessment, that's lost in today's day and time. Like, it really, like, it's a pet peeve of mine, man, where, and I'm seeing a fan base morph into what they hated in another fan base right before our very eyes. You probably know what I'm talking about if you can read between the lines. But it's like the same things that everybody is like, we're all critical. If you come on here and you on here like 5-6 times a week, sometimes twice a day, you're doing shorts, you jumping on panels, you talking boxing, it's like, you are going to be critical of some things. And if you're critical of those things, you know, of like somebody's defense, somebody's accuracy, like somebody's game plan, whatever it is, you're going to be very critical. Like it bothers me, man, when you can't be honest, man, and you can't accept it. It's like a lot of the people, man, it's just like some of these punchers. If you ever realize there's very few punchers that punch harder than everybody else, but then could really take it on the chin too. Hence that saying, you could dish it, but you can't take it. A lot of people be dishing out a whole lot of shit, but they can't take it. They dish out a whole lot. It's a lot of rebel rousers. I've learned that. It's a lot of people that just gonna stir up shit. And that's all they're gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Don't be like that. Like, get back to just enjoying the sport. Get back to just critiquing, you know, and get back to just maintaining a standard. And it's an etiquette to that. You know, a lot of times I'm starting to see now a lot of the people that's out here that done started channels and that's doing their things, they really want a cult. They really want a cult. Like over here, I don't need a cult. I like AC being on here a lot of the times because there's polarity. We don't agree on everything. He'll give me pushback. He'll challenge me. I'll challenge him. I was hold on now, wait, and then you know But if you start a channel to where you know you just want everybody to agree with you and everybody just like, what do you have a channel for? And how are you pointing fingers at everybody else if that's what you're doing yourself? It makes no sense. Just be a fan, man. Every now and again, tell yourself it's okay. I don't have, like this past weekend, believe it or not, I didn't have a dog in that race. I made my pick. I drew my line in the sand. I said whatever I said, and I was just waiting to see the results just like everybody else. But I really didn't have a dog in the race. And I said I wasn't going to attach myself to a certain fan base because it's toxic, man. It's going to be worse. It's going to be worse than the fan base that they actually are turning into right now, like the fans. Like, and that leads me to my second one. Boxers are hypocrites, but like sometimes it's not the boxers. Before I talk about how boxers are hypocrites, sometimes it's not the boxers, it's the fans. It's the fans. The fans will cause you to actually start spitting out truth, spitting out facts, and it'll make it seem like you really have something wrong with somebody. It's like, no, we're just as critical of everybody else. We do the same analysis as everybody else. People was pointing out how Tank got rocked by Lamont. Like, imagine me saying, like, acting like I didn't see Tank get rocked by Lamont Roach. Imagine me not acknowledging the knee and that, yeah, if they go by the knee and they do go by the rules, that, yeah, Lamont, you could say he really won. Imagine me acting like that. I didn't do that. Imagine me saying, I ain't never see Bud get rocked by Gamboa. I didn't see him get dropped by Lipinets. Like, a lot of us was doing that. A lot of us saw those things. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us saw those. So to come out and when your favorite fighter get hit, he didn't. Now people are interpreting. This is the example I'm gonna give before I move to the second one, for real. I was watching a channel yesterday, and it was a guy, man. He always called it, and I agree with this guy. It's a couple people that where I never talked to him really straight up and down, like where I had a conversation with him. But like 95 to 100% of the shit they say, I agree with. He's one of them. Whenever you get a privilege to get up on this panel, and he's like a coach. He worked with the youth and he teach boxing. So he was looking at it. He said he didn't have a dog in the race either. He was looking at it and he was saying, look, I'm looking at it like, okay, moving forward or what's next, like from a critical eye. And he shared the same philosophy as me. I told y'all, David Benavidez had to win me over. He had to do a lot, like before I was like, yeah, he got it. Why? Because he had showed things. Like, it wasn't things inside the ring necessarily. But before he actually got the opponent to actually prove himself, he popped hot one time for the cocaine. He blew weight the other time, and I'm like, I don't know what to expect. And everybody's saying he's, this and that, you know what I'm saying? Then Tyson called him the Mexican monster, and then he went on his run, and it got to a point where I was betting against him. I said, you know what? I'm a fan now. He done actually showed me. That happens with them all. I'm not just gonna latch onto it because one day, you know what I'm saying, they clean, they talking, they thirsty. That's why I always say before the silk sheets. That's a real series I'm gonna do. Before the silk sheets, before they get onto these silk sheets, they say all the right things. They in their best behavior. Why? Because they're young, they hungry. You know what I'm saying? They hadn't got the money. The lifestyle hasn't changed. They might still be eating cereal. You know what I'm saying? They might be living fight to fight, check to check almost, you know what I'm saying? It's like they hungry. They doing everything right. And then they get a little bit of the spotlight. They get the little 15 minutes of fame and they start acting brand new. And I don't care. I told y'all my high school best friend, he went to college, he came back, he started acting brand new. I had to sit down across from the table. I was like, bruh, who you talking to? Oh, it's Mike, man. It's me, man. Who you talking to? You done went around and you done got bougie and you done got like, I don't deal with that very well. You always gonna get the same consistent me no matter what's going on. But this guy was looking at boxing the same way. He said, well, he damn near gave the same example. He was like, yeah, when it came down to David Benavidez, he had to show me. He said, I wasn't convinced. He said, when I saw Tank, he said, I wasn't convinced until I seen Tank when Tank did to Leo Santa Cruz. And I'm like, that's an honest assessment. I wasn't sold on the Charlos. I wasn't sold on the Charlos until mainly Mel, because Mel is my guy. I wasn't sold on them until, because I was not part of this community, but I used to go to a lot of the channels of this alphabet community, and I used to sit around and listen to a lot of them content creators. And they used to be hating. And if you involved in a group that all they do, they pushing narratives and this, and you're not sitting down doing your own thing, you just popping in, listening to them, you're going to be led around by your nose. So it wasn't until I sat down and said, hold on, man, I started watching them ring resumes, and I started saying, oh, hold on, man, I want to see the whole fight. Go back and see the whole fight. And I just binge watched. I said, oh, man, these brothers are nice. So when I went back to the chat and I was talking to these cats and in the chat just doing my thing, I didn't see them the same. I'm like, oh, y'all just really hating because y'all want to push somebody else. But I had to look at them for myself. Is their personality for everybody? No. They were like two roaring, hungry lions. But that's just an example. But this guy said, he said Tank had to win him over. David Benavidez had to win him over. That's how I was. That's how I was with Sabril. I was like, oh, man, I don't know, man. He get hit a lot. And then I was like, man, but he got it down to a science. You know what I'm saying? Around about round 5 or 6, really out to round 3, you damn near in trouble because you done punched yourself out. His punch resistance was crazy. And he going to wear your ass out. So then I started saying, why are they not fighting? I'm like, oh, he a problem. He's, you know what I'm saying? So he won me over that way. But nobody earned it. It's just like in life, you respect everybody, but people gotta earn you to just trust them to do certain things. Only in boxing, because your favorite content creator say, oh yeah, this is what's going on, and you just gonna blindly, we don't live like that in life. That's why we always challenge you when you come over here to use your critical thinking skills. That memorization, regurgitation, that's for the birds. We don't do that. We're gonna challenge that medulla oblongata. That's what we're gonna do. So I'm listening to this guy, and he said, they were like, what do you think about this week before? He said, I'm not sure. He said, I kind of got the same answer that I had coming out. He was like, why? They was like, why? Because for one, Xander came in there, he stood right in front of them, man. He went right and stood right in front of them, man. So I don't know. He's like, and then when I look at the lapses in defense, he's like, I just don't know. He said, I didn't know who was going to win. It was a 50-50 to me going in. I didn't say it was 50-50. I was saying, man, dare I say 50-50? I said it was more like a 60-40. I didn't see a stoppage. I saw it going the distance. That's me personally. They jumped all over this man. They said, when he said, yeah, when I saw him get hurt in the third, man, they jumped all. You would have thought you was at a clan meeting. They jumped all over this dude. And this dude be up there talking all the time. They jumped all over him. And they was arguing, he didn't get hurt. He blah, blah, blah. I'm like, hold on, why are you speaking like this is what I was just talking about when we saw Bud, when it happened to Bud, when we seen Lamont, you know what I'm saying, hit Tank a couple times. The Ryan fight, I seen Ryan hit Tank. Shit, we seen Abdullah get dropped twice and get up and stop a dude. Like, why can't we just say what we see? Without all the politics. Now you're going to try to tell somebody what they saw. You're going to try to tell hundreds of thousands of people what they saw in the fight. But guess what? Later on, somebody got up there on the same one, like two people later got up on the panel and was like, yeah, man, he's like, I'm going to tell y'all what. And now he said, I talked to him. He said, I'm going to tell you what. When I talked to him, he said he wasn't happy about the third round. He said he is not happy about that. He, you know what I'm saying, he know he got some things to work on. They let that slide. I said, see, this is what's wrong with boxing, man. Sometimes you just gotta be a fan, man. Let the boxers fight those battles. Like when somebody is outright blatantly lying, like some of the slanderous things that they say, and people just putting stuff out on people's names, yeah, check that. But like sometimes we gotta just learn how to be fans. That's the first one. Boxers are hypocrites. Easily baked, salute. Salute, easily baked. Boxers are hypocrites, man. I sat and I watched that Lamont Roach Brian Custer interview. AC, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. I was about to say, your volume went out.
Yeah, I don't know what happened, man. It just kicked me out and it removed some comments. But I watched that Brian Custer interview with Lamont Roach on there, right? And I was sitting there listening to Lamont. He was, he was real. He sounded like he was real. He was in a good space. He was, he was calm. He was, talking assuredly. Lamont speaks very well, man. He got a nice vocabulary, very well, I would say, man, he gives a good account for himself. But I was sitting there listening to him, and I'm like, man, sometimes you gotta realize, man, with these boxers, and you can't hold it against them, because they are the brand, they are the one-man show. It's not 11 people on offense and 11 people on defense, or 5 people out on the court. They're shouldering the load of it all. Them and the coaches that sit in their ears. So you gotta kind of give them a little bit of grace. But like, some of it is like they overlook. We done went over Shakur. I'm tired of doing that. But in this one, he was talking about the Oshaki thing. And I'm like, I find it real odd that these guys, it's like all of these guys, I just seen Gary Antoine jumping on Oshaki and all this. I'm just like, why? It's like, man, it's like everybody, but they talk so nice about Shakur. Like the tone, the energy, it don't be there. It baffles me. It's like they had this crazy energy when it come down to Oshaki, and they be talking like he being disrespectful and all this. I'm like, he's doing the most stand-up things right now in the game. He don't be out here high-capping and lying and, making more out of himself than what he really is. He's moving like he need to move. He did what Shakur said. He's calling out the right names. He's giving facts. He's never, he's a stand-up dude. But they got different energy for him, and the part that stuck out to me, and I can give a lot of them, but the part that stuck out to me was when Lamont was saying how, well, to me, I thought he said he lost his strap to Confiscated, right? And Brian Custer said, now hold on now. He's like, now we all know, we saw it. He was like, we know that shouldn't have been a loss. He was like, yeah, he said it shouldn't. He said, but he didn't do enough to get the judges to give him to award him the win. I was like, you don't say, Lamont. When you got whole channels out here calling you Dramont Roach. You don't say. So you saw it where, you can look at somebody else's performance and you can say, well, in their performance, they didn't do enough to get the judge to warrant you, to warrant him a decision. But in your case, you can't look and see, okay, well, especially in that pit bull, you can't look and say, well, okay, well, yeah, I came out, I did X, Y, and Z. Maybe I didn't, that wasn't really the game plan, but yeah. And then you got you got put in the tailspin and your glove touched the canvas, so it was kind of the knockdown, and then the momentum, and how, you know, later on, seemed like at the end it was almost like Cruz was trying to steal rounds and this and that. Even though we scored it, personally, we scored it and said Lamont won. We scored both of them. I scored both of them and said Lamont won. Both of the last 2 fights. But that's just the kind of fan I am. I'm not gonna bullshit you, man. I don't care. At the expense of what? People know who I'm rocking with. People know the shit that I check and how I, you know what I'm saying, like obliterate narratives on the spot. But it's odd. That's one example, like Lamont, and you know, the fact that he got the draws, but then he'll look at Shaki's performance in a fight where everybody clearly saw that he won, and then say that he didn't do enough for the judges to award him the win. How ironic. The other one is, because I had this dumbass fan jump on my page this weekend, and he was just like talking about this, you Tank fans, and y'all want to blah. I'm like, man, clearly you didn't see the video, bruh. The video, when I was saying the Devin is PU, that video, I guess I ruffled some feathers by doing that video, so he felt like he wanted to jump in the, and I like the dialogue, but talk to me nice. I was saying, I said, he was like, y'all Tank fans, y'all just want him to do blah blah blah. I said, clearly you didn't watch the video, cuz. So what have I said? What did I tell? What have I told AC? What did I say in that video? What things have I been saying? I said, listen, I would love for Tank to just move up and fight him. I said, matter of fact, let Devin get big as a house. Why? Because at the end of the day, skills pay the bills. I think you can do it. So I said, me personally, I want you to do it just like Bud. When Bud jumped up there to Canelo, he jumped up there without nothing. Put belt to ass. That's what I want Tank to do with Devin. Why? Because at the end of the day, it's real aggression, it's real animosity, and at the end of the day, the cream gonna rise to the crop. He could think he can have an advantage, but you can use what he thinks is an advantage. How many times we seen that? Somebody go in thinking they have an advantage, and it's really not an advantage because they want to get so big. How'd that work out for Joseph Parker against Fabio Wardley? How'd that work out for Tyson Fury? Like, how do he, like, so sometimes you wanting to be as big as a house, it don't work out in your favor. Skills pay the bills. Even Floyd, he didn't go all the way up all the time to the, or right up to the threshold. He went to where he was comfortable. We still had his speed, his sharpness, his quickness. So in that video, I said, I want Tank to just jump up there and just fight him like right there. If he says 47, you was on the scale over there at 47, hell, you might come in at 140. You might come in at 138. It really don't matter for real. You come in with it, whatever you want to. But if he say make it at 147 and don't make no concessions, let this nigga come in here at like 165, 170 pounds. Let him. That's what I said. But then I pointed out the hypocrisy because when Devin went from 135 up to 140 to go fight Regis, who was the champ? He ran out the ring when Shakur jumped in the ring. When Shakur had that Dennis Rodman shirt on. He ran out the ring then and he ran up the one. Remember, because Tank with them was teasing him saying, we going to 40, bro. Because Shakur had that clip saying that, yeah, if it ever get hot, we're going to run up. We're going to get out. You know, if it ever get hot, then we're going to, you know what I'm saying, move up. And they moved up. They moved up and got Regis. And we saw he dropped Regis that was coming off a bad performance where Regis and Zarilla set an anomaly. They had set a record low. This is before the De Los Santos and Shakur, like 3-4 weeks, a month later, they came out and set another record. An anomaly, 2 anomalies. But they saw that bad performance by Regis and Zarilla. Devin moves up for his strap. Regis was wanting a big name, but he's a lifelong 40-pounder. Devin put a one-way rehydration clause on that man. I ate my crow. Why? That's the kind of person I am. I didn't see Devin doing that to Regis. Especially he dropped him twice. Nobody saw that. Then I was like, man, hold on, man. Something wasn't right. Now I'm not gonna make no excuses. I'm just going by. I was just like, man, Regis looked like he forgot how to box. Like I ain't never think about seeing Regis like that. Then the way Devin, like, come on, man, you know that's a big name. You could, you know what I'm saying? Come to find out, the man was on a one-way rehydration clause. I put the article up there. They said, oh, y'all just want. Then he gonna rebuttal me, talking about you just want to see. Y'all just make up anything. I'm like, it's in an article. Don't you know that Devin and them don't think he's no foreigner to the courts now. You know that court system very well. You don't think that he would sue him if that wasn't true? It's in an article, bro. Regis came out and did an interview about it, and Regis took the high road. He said, I'm not gonna make it seem like that's the reason why I lost. But he did. He put a rehydration clause where I could only go up at a certain amount, but he can get as big as he wanted. That was the point of the video. So me personally, I want Tank to go up there. I don't care what weight. If it's at 147, go up there and say, all right, I'm gonna dictate the money split and all that. Like as far as that, but like, okay, you want it at 47, and we ain't gonna do no rehydration. How about that? That's what I wanted. But I pointed out the hypocrisy. So, and I seen another big channel when somebody else was saying, because they was reasoning that Tank jumped out on Devin this time because he heard about the 144 with Shakur. And he was saying, man, y'all fans are nuts. Well, why you want him to get a victory over Devin so he can say he finally won a real fight? You're like, get out of there with this bullshit. He's like, that's some pussy shit and all this and all that. Okay, so if that was some pussy shit, right? Let's say Tank don't do that. But what was it when Devin did it to Regis? That's what I'll be trying to say. Y'all got to keep the same standards. Like, sometimes the fans be worse than the boxers. The boxers got a right to be a little delusional. Why? Because they get hit in the head for a living. So we got to stop this, like, fan bases and how we go by things and how we, you know what I'm saying? Like, we got to stop it, man. Like, I've never, somebody said this. They said they've never seen a fighter, no matter what weight class he go to, as he moves up, he's still always bigger than the guy across from him. They were talking about Devin. So it's like you can't really be like that. You lose what they call integrity and you lose credibility. Like when you want to point out the flaw in your guy, you make up lies about the other guy. You want to point out the flaw in your guy, and then you know that you have influence. And I say along with influence comes responsibility. The last one of the housekeeping is hindsight is 2020. Go figure. And this will lead us right into the meat and potatoes with this. When I first started talking about this fight with Xander and Boots, I said, man, I don't even foresee myself really doing too many videos on it, because I saw it was almost like people act like they don't have videos out online. Like they didn't already leave a track record of what was being said about Xander. When Xander won that belt, we were saying, like we were saying, oh damn, they did our man Charles Conwell dirty because they waited for Charles Conwell to have a bad night at the office against Chino Perez. As soon as Chino Perez beat him, boom, him and Xander went right into a fight for a strap. Not only that, but Bob Peru just went up against Ennis Taylor's, who's the PBC guy. Of course, they're not gonna get that much promotion because it's a PBC guy right now. PBC ain't in the media right now. They just making fights or trying to make fights with people that are getting in the ring with them. So I just, like, Xander was getting slammed. They said, who is he? What did he fight? How many? Like, okay, man, we know he got, but who was Zayas? Who was a Boss Peru? Like, come on, man. Y'all know Xander was on that top-ranked diet. All these things that people were saying. So once he had 2 straps, they were like, oh, yeah, you know what I'm saying, blah, 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 and this, and that. Well, they saw the results of the fight. How about they went right back to them same narrative that they were saying before? That Xander wasn't this and Xander. I said, okay, well, I stopped doing it. I said, y'all going to snatch all the equity out of this fight. So when y'all get up there and y'all try to act like this man is a world beater for beating Xander after this, and y'all get a lot of kickback and it sounds like people are outraged, I said, don't say nothing. I said, don't say nothing. guess what? They back to saying something. Why? Because the man that landed on the pound for pound list at number 9 after beating Xander. Not even playing like, because I'm hard on the accolade salad, the accolade soup, because that shit is just a bunch. Devin fought one time. He got emailed a strap, and then he fought Kambosos one time and got undisputed. That does not compare to shit that Jermell Charlo did at 54 when he collected all them straps one by one at the 54 division. It don't. It don't. So when you play the accolade salad, it's like you got to think about it. Boots got emailed a strap. Stanionis got emailed a strap. They fought each other. He get credit for a unification, something that people, they always knock Tank for never having unified. But that's how he unified. They both got emailed a strap and they fought each other. He moves up. He fights one guy who unified 2 straps by people who got emailed straps. But he gets the accolade of a 2-time unified champ. That's accolade salad, accolade soup. At the end of the day, it's not going. What's going to matter is what these fighters going to do. Like what Xander going to do. If Stanionis come back and he get busy, he make another one. That's what matters. What did Kambosos go on to do after the thing with Devin? But what did Devin do to solidify himself? He went and defended it against Loma. He moved up and got a strap off of Regis. Now, I told y'all about the conditions of that. But then he moved up again and got another strap from Brian Norman, who was a boogeyman of some sorts. So he solidified himself in that matter as far as those accolades. But the first, that undisputed that he got, and then these 2 unifications, that's accolade salad, accolade soup. It means something. There are credentials. In the history books, yes, that's lovely. But we all know as hardcore boxing fans, it comes down to who is throwing the lever. I haven't seen a video about a Boss Baru. We seen Ennis Taylor's fight again. He looked pretty good. He looked better. It was close. It looked better. He looked better. But ain't nobody doing no videos about them two. And guess what? They come right back around to now they shitting on Xander again. Let alone, we're not talking about the performance right now. But I'm saying hindsight will always be 20/20, especially when it comes down to a certain fan base. They're always going to wait until the results and then come out, you know what I'm saying, with these rose-colored 20/20 glasses where they see everything clear now. It's easy to see things after they happen. The beauty is seeing it and talking about it before. Maybe in real time. Maybe being prophetic. That's what I got as far as the housekeeping, man. Don't be no hindsight of 2020s, man. You looking real bad. You gonna have to start deleting. I told people, you gotta start deleting content and taking down videos because you're gonna sound real dumb if we pull up one of your videos with you talking that dumb shit. And now in hindsight, you talking something else, acting with somebody told you so. We told you so. We told you, man, that there were going to be critics out here that was going to say, man, don't act like he done beat the world because he beat Xander because Xander was blah, blah, blah. We told you that beforehand. Now y'all getting outraged. Why? Y'all created it. But that's what I got on the housekeeping, AC. What you got?
Well, I'm gonna start at the number 1, fan etiquette, because that's kind of where I left off my comment before. When talking about the fan etiquette, I do remember this, and correct me if I'm wrong. When this fight was announced, we were both like, yeah, I don't really want to give up because it's so close. It's a 50-50. It's so many questions. I brought up the fact of Xander's past and where Boots is with his 30-something fights and yada, 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 right? So I thought we were just right there and things. And then as it went on, I just said, you know what? Again, here we go with the heavy-handed stuff that, you know, Xander's not going to be able to touch Boots. Boots is just going to walk in there and wave a finger and, you know, Xander just splatters into a million pieces and shit like that. And it was just like, all right, I'm just going to go with Xander. You know what I'm saying? And what I found interesting was leading up to the fight, you couldn't talk about any positive things from Xander on certain channels because then everybody attacks you. Then if you bring up the fact that they'll say, well, Xander was getting hit, you know, by lesser competition, and you bring up examples of where Boots got hit by lesser competition. Oh, I ain't never seen that. Who you talking about? This dude named Jorge Sosa or George Sosa. And I said it jokingly. I'm like, yeah, he the dude to me that looked like Derek James. He had Boots holding on to the ropes. Nah, he wasn't holding on to the ropes. His arm got caught in the ropes. I was like, bro, look at it. He got cracked. He backed up. He held on to the ropes. The other hand was trying to wrap itself around Sosa. Like, come on, you're not gonna say you didn't see that? Nah. And plus, I'm just saying, it was only one shot. Okay, but only one shot ends a fight. Only one shot knocks a motherfucker out. That last shot that the ref sees and says, okay, that's enough. You took enough. It always comes down to one punch. Because you can get beat up on, but it's that last punch that actually knocks you down or knocks you out. Not the first one, it's the last one. Unless you're falling and the guy's that fast and he's catching you on your way to falling. But the way I see it and the way I've always seen it was always one punch. So when you don't want to admit to what you've seen, you know what I'm saying? I was just in the background trying to Google how many views did this fight do. That information is not out. Because I just wanted to know, out of all of those people who watched that fight that night, even the commentators, even the level-headed commentators in the promotional companies or whatever, are classifying that third round as one of the greatest rounds of this generation. Which in my opinion, I could buy into that. But these guys won't let that happen. No, it was just one punch and I didn't see Boots hurt. I'm like, oh shit, for real. Okay, you didn't see a blank look in Boots' face. All right. Even after he gets it together, his dad tells him let his hands go. That same round he told him to let his hands go. He did that 1980 Kid and Play joint where you got your hands up in the air, the one leg up, and it looked like you hopping in a circle.
Mm-hmm.
You did that. The only other person I ever seen that was when your Dennis Ugas cracked Errol Spence, and Errol Spence did that same kind of move and backed up. And I'm like, yeah, okay, he caught him a couple of times. Bud was dropped by Kavalaskis. I don't care what Bud Buddy says. No, but the ref waved it off. Yeah, the ref also waved off Shane Mosley knocking down, dropping Floyd Mayweather. The ref also waved off Deontay Wilder dropping Tyson Fury in the third round of their first fight. So it's the third man in the ring. It's up to his discretion. Go ahead, Tank didn't take he wasn't penalized for taking the knee. You feel what I'm saying? Which should have been a knockdown. But at the end of the day, I just love I love that fight. That fight was, to me, is like a classic. It's gonna go down in classic. If you're gonna try to build on Boots, build off that third round. That third round let people know, all right, the young man got grit. He got heart. He got gumshoe. He can dig down deep. He knows how to defend himself properly when he gets hurt. That's what I took away from that. Not the goofy shit that the fans are saying. That you don't even want to acknowledge the fact that he was hurt. And it's like, bro, you're taking away from Boots when you don't want to acknowledge he was hurt. Because if you acknowledge he was hurt, you acknowledge how good a recovery he had and the level that he knows how to wrap somebody up and stay safe. The same thing with Xander. I believe that was the fifth round. Xander had 54 seconds and he survived that 54 seconds by smart footwork, wrapping himself up. And it's like, you can't take nothing away from these dudes. Bro, that shit was popping. But no, we can't live with that. It's what happened to Xander's moment. It's all this other crazy stuff. Nobody can just say, it is what it is. When I was going over it and I'm looking at the numbers, yeah, I can see where people said 60-40. But for me, the tangibles was telling me it was more of a 50-50 fight. It's going to come down to will, corner, and game plan. And that's exactly what it came down to. So I had no issues with the fight. I thought the fight was great. You know what I'm saying? I was a little worried with some of the other early stoppages. And that fifth round had me like, oh my God, are they about to stop this fight on Xander? Like, don't do that. I didn't mind that the other thing happened. But outside of that, that's what it was. At least the fan base.
Let me
go ahead.
Let me just insert this one thing before I forget, because I meant to say it earlier. I recall watching that Jorge Linares fight, and this is why I be trying to say, man, just be a fan, man, because I don't want to rub elbows with nobody who do this. When Linares stuck the shit out of Devin, and he had him walking goofy, he what they call it, he was on Queer Street, and he was going back to the corner, and Linares did the little usher thing, like he ushered him back to his corner. Everybody in the crowd was like, oh, right after the fight, Chris Mannix interviewed him and was like, yeah, he's like, man, in that whatever round it was, I think it was like the 10th, 8th or 10th, I don't know what, somewhere around, it's been a minute. And I was gonna pull up this video, because I done a video about this, and I said to go to the point about boxers being hypocrites. That was like, no, I was never hurt. I was never hurt. I was never hurt. He do an interview later on, and I pulled it up, and I did the interview. He's like, yeah, he said I was hurt in that round, but you know, it wasn't nothing. It wasn't nothing. I showed that I could recover. I could do this and do that. Fans was roasting there for that. Like right after that, because that's what everybody was talking about. Everybody was talking about how Devin got rocked by Linares. Everybody talking about how Bud got rocked. Everybody talks about that. Everybody talk about Tank taking the knee. Like, we didn't all see that, but then you got fan bases that were they were putting out the knives and the pitchforks when it came down to Devin, putting out the knives and the pitchforks when it came down to Bud. So when it happened to, you know what I'm saying, the new guy, the hot new guy, we're gonna act like we don't see that. Y'all are becoming the same fan base that y'all despise.
Yeah, and just to give it one more, the fan base didn't want to acknowledge Zepeda catching Shakur.
Right.
No, I didn't see that. He didn't catch him. His foot got tangled.
But guess who saw it?
His daughter.
Yeah. She said,
and then when you bring that up, she's like, oh man, that's a kid. And I say, kids have no filter. They say what they see. Kids have no filter. They say what they see. I don't know if you got kids, but that's the way kids go. Sometimes you got to sit there and your kids is talking to like your grandmother, your great auntie, or someone you hold a high regard, and your baby says the wildest shit, and you like, oh, she just didn't say that, or he just didn't say that.
Yeah, like, why you got your hair on your chin, grandma? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like what happened one time? One of my great aunts, you know, she had the false teeth and shit like that. So I bring my son to go see her, right? So she just laid out in the afternoon and stuff like that. It was crazy hot that day. Bring her up there. My son, he like 2 years old, maybe 2.5, 3 years old. He looks at her and points to her mouth and puts his hand on her lip, like, where your teeth go? How come you ain't got no teeth? And I'm like, oh my God, Malik, what are you doing? You feel what I'm saying? And I was just like, okay, kids have no filter. They say what they see. You feel what I'm saying? So that part was a little was funny to me. And at the end of the day, I still find it hilarious that grown men and women won't acknowledge things like that. Now on to the second one, as far as boxers being hypocrite. Yeah. Business people are hypocrites. Actors are hypocrites. You know, some of your favorite politicians are hypocrites. And I find that strange as hell to have a favorite politician. You feel what I'm saying? But we're just in that type of era where people have their favorite political figures. And I just look at it, if you have a favorite political figure, what kind of boxing fan are you? If you do watch boxing. And sometimes I just make these weird connections just on because I'm traveling in between so many different circles and stuff like that, I tend to ask myself, what type of boxing fan would you be if you don't acknowledge, or you acknowledge that your favorite politician is a hypocrite, but you won't fully admit that he's a hypocrite? It's like, oh, well, it's politics. They all do it. Okay, so then why won't you just admit it? That word is a taboo word for you? And just to look at a boxing fan or a boxer or a promoter or whatever that says something that is highly hypocritical, they may have a great track record of being consistent in what they say, but it's just that one point that they were being hypocritical. And it's like, okay, I acknowledge that. I heard it. And if I start to see a trend more than that, I'm gonna say, well, you're starting to get on the track where you're showing me some type of hypocrisy or whatever. You know, and that's where I start to look at fighters and things like that in a different light. It's the hypocrisy that makes me do it. Because you're telling me you're doing X, Y, and Z, but your movements are A, B, C. And I'm like, wait, what happened to that? When we were talking about other instances of what's best for the business of boxing, that's when the hypocrites really came out. Because you're going to say what's best for the business of boxing is the guy who wins on that night. Okay, I got it. What does he or she do next that's best for the business of boxing? Are you going to give me a consistent track record of best for the business of boxing? And if your consistent track record is just winning a bunch of fights, or fights that some of the fans will say, well, you're tailor-made for this person, or there are all of these huge talking points prior to the fight that degrade the opponent, and then when the guy wins that wasn't degraded, then it's I told you so. Then it's I'm going to show everybody what I'm about, but yet what about all the stuff that was said beforehand? What about your fan base disrespecting your opponent? How do I give you that win now? How do I give you the things that you need to actually say, all right, I'm coming around. I think you got me now locked in as a solid fan. You're one of them ones. We just can't get there. The two roads will always travel parallel. And there is no point where they cross. But there is a point where they'll go their separate ways. So that's the way I feel about that. And number 3, hindsight is 2020. Hindsight at times is supposed to be, well, I've always looked at hindsight like this. Hindsight is a tool you use to find out how you got here and to prevent yourself or anyone else from going in that same direction. Because sometimes when you find yourself in a certain position, you have to look back. And then when you look back, you see all the things you've ignored. And that's the hindsight. The way hindsight is being used today, it has no educational value. It's just something that's used as a mechanism to build up the other person or strengthen your weak ass argument. Hindsight is the thing that people tend to go to in the space of saying, I can't make a strong argument for the guy, so I have to say what I say and hope for the best. And when that outcome comes, then I could say, yeah, all the crazy shit that I said, yeah, see, I was right. And if you go back to this video, you'll see I was talking about it then. And you'll see that there were people talking about, and it's like, listen, for me, if you're going to quote me on something and I'm sitting right there, don't say I heard people say. Because I just said that same thing you just said I heard people say. Be a fucking man about it and say, yeah, AC, you just said. I'm not the person that's going to start an argument with you. I'm going to be like, you goddamn right I said that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to stand on 10 if I said it. It's not going to be something where I'm going to be like, oh, you did that. And yo, you could S my D and all of this other stuff. No, I said it because I felt strong about it. It's part of how I feel about the sport, the passion I want to give to the sport. And if I say something early and then those results come, it's not a hindsight thing. It's, yeah, I enjoyed the fight. You know, both guys fought their ass off, and at the end of the day, we got something that if we're all boxing fans, we could cook on in so much different ways. Like, that fight has so much content in it that we can't even get to that content because the fucking fans won't let us. And the hindsight 2020 motherfuckers won't let us. Oh, see, told you Xander was this, told you Xander was that. But that wasn't the point. You're missing the overall point. The overall point was Xander did what Brian Norman just did. I'm young. I may not have all the experience, but I believe in myself. And I believe in myself to go up against the guy that everyone says can beat me. They're telling me I'm too young. Okay, I hear all y'all argument, but I'm about to go in there and show y'all something. Did Xander live up to that and show me something? Abso-motherfucking-lutely. He made even a stronger fan of me because of that loss. Because he showed everything of a champion. Just like Andy Cruz. Everybody had Andy Cruz beating Morataya. Morataya won. I said, listen, I'm going with Morataya. I didn't be like, told y'all, see, I was trying to tell y'all that this and that and that. No, I didn't do that goofy, dumb shit. I said I thought it was a great fight. There's a lot of content in that. We covered a lot of that content when we reviewed that fight. We reviewed some of the flaws. We reviewed some of the high points. We reviewed where that amateur style of Andy Cruz may not have worked. So in this fight right here, with Boots and Xander, there was so much content to break down as a result of what we saw. But we're not going to get there because of the fan base. It's just sad. You feel what I'm saying? And this is why fighters don't want to lose their oath. Because the fans won't look at the fight as the fight was. Or as the fight happened. And respect the outcome of, okay, both of them had questions going in. They both gave us a great performance. Big shout out to Boots. He showed a level of grit that I didn't know he had in him. And he pulled that shit out of his ass, and he was like, it's not going to happen today. And Xander did his best to stop that. But we can't talk about that because the hindsight boys is all 2020'd out. You know, they just see what they want to see. Clear-eyed vision only on what you want to see. Only on what you want to focus on. You stipple-ass niggas. So that's just, you know, that's it for me. It's honestly, man, I enjoyed the fights. I enjoyed the card. It's the fan base after it that's highly disappointing. Because we could just cook on so much about that fight, even though, and still give Boots his props. Even if you picked Xander, there is still so much space to give Boots his props, and still a lot of space to give Xander his props. But that we it's not going to happen, and I can pretty much see that. And I'm speaking about this in real time because I haven't seen anything that shows me anything. From Max Kellerman to all of them, the only people that were actually even keeled about this were the fucking promotional companies. The little videos the Zone dropped, the little stuff that Top Rank dropped, best round, third round, legendary round and shit like that. That's it.
They want to nitpick about that. Y'all taking 1 second and one shot. I'm like, dude, my lady was like, man, that dude didn't. My lady saw it, and she was like, my father-in-law, he saw it. She was like, man, he wasn't. I guess we getting into the meat and potatoes a little bit now, but even she was just like, man, he was hurt. He was hurt for a while. He was hurt. He didn't recover like right in that round. He willed himself through that round, but he was still. He didn't come back to his full self for like a minute, bro. Not even in that round. He was still he wasn't his normal self for a minute after that shit. It wasn't just because he got out of that round. He was still, but that just, like you said, it takes away from the credit you can give Boots and his. We're not gonna do it. We're gonna give him his credit and say, man, that dude resilient. Like, you got to kill him. You got to really put him out on the shield. Like, if you can't just wound him, you got to put him out. You got to, the double tap. You got to do the double tap on him. That's the glory that Boots is being denied because these dummies, the Tim Bradleys of the world. I seen a whole Ring Magazine panel with Berto and Tim Bradley. I guess he finally getting his job. He getting his gigs. But Tim Bradley said on Monday he came out and said it's gonna be a funeral. He got Boots. On Wednesday he came out and said he got Xander by upset. So in hindsight, he's gonna be right. Like, what good is that? What can we do with that? Now he up there, yeah, this the baddest man, and this. I'm like, stop it, man, y'all. Y'all do the fighters no justice by doing that. But let's get into the meat and potato, because we pretty much there. I called this one Unstrapped. This is part of the Unstrapped series. Let me take this down. I called this one Unstrapped. And the last time we did Unstrapped was this one. So this was the last time we did Unstrapped, and it was when Shakur basically kicked T.O. out the whip. T.O., I respect Xander, even though you could say he conceded, aka quit. Even though you could say Xander conceded or quit, right? I respect Xander and his efforts and energy, and his willingness to trade and exchange and go out, on his shield way more than the performance that I respect from T.O. because I know T.O. better than that. Like, T.O. used to be one of my top guys. It wasn't until he started talking out the side of his neck and saying some of the things he was saying and acting the way, just being a clown, wanting attention, that I fell off of him. But like, this was the last Unstrapped. So let's move over to this one. With Xander Zayas, the unified WBO, WBA champ, took on Jaron Boots Ennis, the Philly phenom, and he got kicked out the whip. So he lost his straps. Boots confiscated this man's straps. I think Boots gained a lot of fans. He gained a lot of new fans from the performance and the excitement. And that's the kind of, it just goes to show you that that's the kind of boxing, that's the kind of excitement. The card was pretty good. The AC alluded to a couple premature stoppages. Even my lady said on that one, she was like, man, they could have let him fight, man. He's supposed to fight some more, right, babe? I was like, yeah, I said the ref could have let him go out. Like, they could have gave him another shot. Like, they could have, but there was a little quick draw McGraw a little bit on him. Some of the earlier fights when it was a stoppage that was called. But Boots was prophetic in saying that you're gonna hear and the new, and he said that was his own birthday present. So first thing I want to do is I want to congratulate Boots. This was almost like a rite of passage, because even though I don't like the whole accolade soup, accolade salad, he did achieve something. A two-division unified champ. That's an accolade that Tank, as of right now, unless he go and do, consolidate Cup of Day, he always want to get knocked for that. So Boots, he eliminated that from the jump. They're not going to be able to hold that against him in his efforts and his quest for greatness. He still got some work to do. In my opinion, he still got a nice road ahead of him. He's in my opinion, he's in the second hottest division in boxing, which is 154. I think 140 is the highest division. It's just they won't mix it up down there at 140 right now. But he showed up and showed out. It looked like it was, it was a decent crowd out there. The energy was crazy. Even the people I was listening to, when I was watching the fight, when that third round happened, man, they was yelling and screaming. I was like, oh, like they was yelling and screaming. And I heard that everybody was standing up on their feet. You know what I'm saying? All of the Puerto Ricans, the Boricuas was out there going crazy, going ham. Boots showed resilience. He buckled down, he willed himself, and he wound up, you know what I'm saying, snuffing Xander out. Now, I'm going to kick it off by saying this. I call this a 60-40 fight. I said it's going to be at least 2 knockdowns. I said, but I got it going the distance. I don't think he's going to get stopped. And why did I say that? I said that because everybody know that if your game plan is to go out there and stand directly in front of Boots, more than likely at this point in time, especially with your capabilities, you're not a puncher, you're going to get obliterated. Xander came right out, met this man right in the center of the ring, and was like right in front of him from the jump. I said, what the fuck is he doing? So for me, I didn't see no stoppage because I thought that he was going to do the stick and move. Like he was going to make Boots, like he was going to try to tire Boots out, you know, make Boots whiff, make Boots miss, and all of that. And people try to come out. I've heard this so many times. I'm like, man, yeah, like I can't even listen to nobody saying this, talking about Boots made him do that. Like, how the fuck did Boots make him do that when he came out from as soon as they said ding, 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 he came right out and stood right in front of that dude. He did the same shit that Devin did. He did the same shit that Devin did with Brian Norman. Like, he came right out there because, like, if y'all really look at that fight, Devin didn't do all that shit he was doing with Jose Ramirez. He was right there in front of Brian Norman. I think that shit caught Brian Norman by surprise. Like, oh, shit. He really gonna stand there? What do you think is going on? I think that kind of befuddled Brian Norman, but like that's what Xander did with Boots. Boots and Devin they are 2 different animals. You know what I'm saying? You cannot go out there thinking that, oh yeah, like give it some time, pick your shots, make them get tired, make them work for it. I ain't saying do the Shakur shit. I'm not even saying do the Devin shit. I'm just saying that we knew going into, at least my assessment in this fight was that, oh, okay, he's going to duplicate some of the things that Karan was able to do by using his legs. He didn't use his legs. And then they say that, they basically said that Xander said that when he got knocked down, he lost his leg in that first round. He got knocked down because he lost his leg. And I heard people arguing and bickering back and forth all day about how Boots made him do it. I said, man, y'all want to create this air of invincibility to where it's like, I don't know, unless it was through osmosis, when he was like right in his corner, they were doing introduction, like, nigga, you gonna come right out and stand right in front of me on some Magneto type shit or Professor X type shit. I don't know. I didn't see that. I saw from the very jump. As soon as they said ding, 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 Xander went out there with the wrong motherfucking game plan. He was supposed to use his lateral movement, use his pivots, use his turns, and they were saying, oh no, he was just too fast, too quick. Yeah, he was fast and quick, but like you got to make him work for it. And if you were going to take that stance, in my opinion, it should have been after the first 6 rounds. People say, oh, he was going to get beat up worse. Like, how the fuck do you get beat up worse when it's harder for a guy to hit you from a distance because you're a moving target, dummies? And that's on some military shit. Everybody know that a moving target is way more harder to hit than a target that's right in front of you, dummies. So for me and the coach and all that shit took me by surprise. I'm like, unless they know something. And it was a moment in the 3rd round, in my opinion, where it's like, okay, well, maybe he thought he weathered the storm and now you're going to catch it. But when he caught him, I said, okay, it might pay some dividends, but your legs wouldn't have been gone and you wouldn't have took the damage you took in the 1st round had you used your lateral movement. Because like me personally, I'm going to say this. I still don't know if there's an issue with cutting off the ring or when he's dealing with a skilled mover. Like, I don't know if he's gonna be able to he would do that with Jermell Charlo with the kind of legs Jermell Charlo got. I can't say that based on that. Why? Because Xander didn't do that. He came right in there on some like his name was Virgil Ortiz. I could see that's Virgil's style, but maybe Virgil chin is better. Virgil punch harder. Virgil do more relentless body work. Like, you know what I'm saying? Virgil was a certified killer. There's only a couple people that survived the distance. Boyd Chuck, who was a boxer puncher, he got with him, but they had a sparring history. Just like Xander and Baru, they had a sparring history. They knew each other. It's different when you got a sparring history. Look at what happened with Lamont and Tank. They had a sparring history. They know they're very familiar with each other since they was little youngins. But I didn't see that game plan from Xander. I was like, man, yeah. I was like, yeah. Because I said if it's going to be a stop, it's going to be. I'll take the 10.5. I said it's going to go over because I thought Xander was going to use his legs. He didn't do that. And so I knew it was going to be destruction. As soon as I seen him come out there, I said, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if they know something that we don't know, but I would have not encouraged them to do that. And that was my assessment. But Boots showed resilience. Boots weathered the storm, the little storm that he had, and devastating because he's an offensive guy. He's a killer. I said this in the breakdown. I said, yeah, he's the type to where it's like we can't talk about him not getting hit and being not having our pants in a tizzy because he do get hit, but he's the type that'll take one or two to get his off because if he get his shit off, because I gave the example of a serial killer, like a killer, he will come in there, yeah, he might get his finger dislocated to knock your fucking head off or stab you in the stomach, like, you know what I'm saying, or to rip your head off. He might. You know what I'm saying? He might get poked in the forehead or the eye or get, part of his ear torn off, like just to kill you. That's just how he is. He's not a safety first fighter. But that was the prediction beforehand, and I was wrong about it going a distance. And I didn't know Xander was going to use that game plan, which was his demise, in my opinion. What you think, AC?
Yeah, me too, bro, because even when I spoke to my keys to victory, I kept on saying Xander's key to victory is to frustrate Boots and then frustrate the corner. That was just one of the little mind games he could play. Outside of that, I was like, use your feet. I said if I was going to think of a knockout and Boots getting a knockout, I said I was saying it's probably going to come halfway in or towards the latter half of the 11th round. I said, and that was pretty much it. As far as cutting off the ring, I still have questions about that because you had Xander one cut off of the ring and an easy combination. Xander was out in that fifth round or whatever. I think it was the fifth round, and that's where I was like, okay. It doesn't seem as though he can cut it off in a matter of, finishing a person off. To get to that point, there was a video of Terrence Crawford hitting a heavy bag. There's also a video of Canelo Alvarez hitting a heavy bag. And the heavy bag is swinging all over the place, right? And as it's swinging all over the place, instead of these guys grabbing the bag and stopping the movement, they're chasing the bag. This is something you learn in the gym. Can you chase the bag? When you chase the bag, chasing the bag is also keeping yourself in position without getting hit, but you're cutting the ring off because you're where the bag is going. When you hit the bag with a certain punch, if you don't hit it clearly, the bag will spin and it'll have a weird momentum. You know what I'm saying? So you may have to get out the way and catch it as it's passing you again. Boom, boom. And then you back out and then you run back on it and you chase it again. Boom, boom, bow. You feel what I'm saying? I was like, he don't chase the bag. And this was one of the things I was saying in the Bud Crawford Errol Spence fight. And dudes was like, AC, what the fuck are you talking about? What is this chasing the bag shit? I said, you're not an old school fighter. You're not an old school boxing fan. Because all the old school trainers, that's one of the first things they'll fucking teach you. The bag is going to be there. But what do you do when the bag starts to move? Because of your own momentum. And some trainers will be behind the bag pushing it. As you're hitting it, they just push it again. And then push it in another direction. And you're supposed to switch, pivot, boom, 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 hit it, bow. You feel what I'm saying? That part I didn't see with Boots, so I still have that question. Boots showed me he does have power. It's still early power and stuff like that. I would have loved to see if that at 54 would that power have translated into the 10th, 11th, and 12th round. You feel what I'm saying? Those questions I didn't get any answer to. The game plan that Xander took, initially I was like, wrong game plan. Then I went back and looked at the fight just because all the hyperbole people was saying. And okay, we've seen guys who are finishers. They come to take your head off. They're not necessarily playing games with you. But the one thing we do see about them is they have that movement. It's these subtle little steps and foot placement that allows them to tee off on the fighter and never be in any real danger. Like if you're going to counterpunch me, it's a quick block, roll with it, and then I'm coming right back, boom, and catching you with something else. Xander showed that quality. Boots, it was like, ooh, I don't really know, bro. I think you know, I think once you get in that mix, you become a little tunnel vision. And you just see whatever it is you're looking at. And if that part isn't fixed, a counterpuncher or someone who can punch with you and has power and is a solid finisher just like you, I don't know if you win that fight. I'm congratulating on Boots because those are the things that I didn't get answers to, but I got answers to so many other things. Can you take a punch from a guy who has accuracy and has some size at 54? Xander's not the biggest puncher, but we saw what a Xander Zayas punch standing toe-to-toe did to Jaron Boots Ennis in 2 different rounds. So with that being said, there's still some questions. You have great resilience, but against somebody who hits just slightly harder, how would that resilience go? And these are legitimate questions that people could ask and debate about and this and that. You know, and these are the type of conversations that I wanted to have with people after the fact. Let's nitpick at this fight right now. Let's talk about what got each one of them in trouble. And one of the things that I said was a flaw to Xander, he did not fix that thing. That's why you kept on getting caught like that. Because you go up with a weak guard. I don't know if your head is just too big to do a proper high guard, and I'm being funny about that. But you can't go into a weak high guard against a guy who's a puncher. And I'm not saying Boots is like a puncher like Wilder or any of these other guys. He's a boxer. He has skill. You know what I'm saying? But for a guy like Xander, your high guard has to be solid. Put it on the level of maybe a Virgil Ortiz or a Winky Wright or something. And I'm not saying Virgil's high guard is as strong as Winky Wright's, but I'm just saying tighten that shit up a little bit. Your head was over your knee, because I think Xander likes that thing when fighters just, you know, being that you have an old school trainer, you may want to get like head in the chest, and you know Errol Spence does that at times. You want that head in the chest. You're kind of leaned over. In basketball, if your opponent is leaning on you, you got him. I'm begging for the pass right now, especially if I'm down in the paint, because he's leaning on me. And you hear certain basketball players, the greats and the ones who are offensively sound and shit like that, they're like, yo, I got him leaning on me. I got him leaning on me. As soon as they get that ball, it's a quick turn. And that guy is like, oh, and they passed him. For Xander, if you're leaning on your opponent, you're susceptible to so many different punches. Because if you're leaning on me, I can just easily take that half step back and shoot the uppercut. Because you're already off balance, because I done took away your support system. And now I'm meeting you. I don't even have to throw the uppercut hard. I'm meeting you. If not, guess what happens when you leaning on me? I take that little half step back, boom, a hook comes right over the top, because your hands are gonna drop. And that's what Xander did over and over again. That's the part I was screaming at my TV like, Bro, stop leaning on that nigga. Step back, give yourself fucking space. And Xander just went back and he leaned on him again. Every time he got close, it always looked like he was trying to lean on him. Get that physical contact so you could fight Boots in the refrigerator or in the phone booth. I guess that's the part where you said you wanted to make him feel uncomfortable, taking it to him. In most cases, you didn't really, in Boots fights, you don't see people generally taking to Boots. They generally start the first round or the first few rounds on the back foot, trying to gauge his hand speed, his power, and his length. Xander did the complete opposite. So I was like, okay, if I'm going to say this was part of your game plan to make him feel uncomfortable, I get it, but you still didn't fix the flaw that actually made the thing work. You know,
Yeah,
so
maybe.
Go ahead.
Maybe it was his idea of trying to smother Boots, but
Yeah.
But for him, I don't know. For that, I think Xander got to be better offense. He got to be a little sharper offensively if he's gonna try to do that. Because most people that can smother, like Andre Ward was good at that. He could smother you to where you ain't getting your shit off, but he's so pinpoint accurate to where he gonna pick you apart because he know how to throw them punches being like in a smothered type position. It's an art. That's that whole live we did a couple weeks ago, inside fighting, like the lost art of inside fighting. So
Yeah.
if you're going to inside fight, you got to get better at that. And also, it's an art when you get somebody hurt. Like you get somebody hurt, like, and I see this happen all the time, and I seen it happen with that guy Tamir Smalls. He got that dude hurt, and he was so, it was like a lion. If you go in a lion's den with two stakes around your neck, it was like you gotta keep your composure when you get somebody hurt. And I think that if he would have had a little bit more composure and had a game plan as to what to do when you have somebody hurt, he might have could have sealed the deal. Because
I don't
he
know.
went in.
Go ahead.
Huh?
No, go ahead. I'll say it after you finish.
He was rushing in and he tried to swarm him, but it's like, no, you got to go back downstairs and then go back upstairs. Like you got to pick and pop, but you got to keep your composure. You got to be defensively responsible. But when you get somebody hurt, you can't just try to swarm somebody. I mean, unless you like, and Billy can do it because his style, like the way he throw them hooks. Like if he gets you hurt, he can come in swarming and ain't really nothing you're gonna be able to do because he's gonna outmuscle you, outman you, like pretty much run you over like a linebacker or something, and on his way to punching you. He can probably do that, but like the kind of puncher that Xander is, you got to be a little bit more accurate and have a little bit better understanding of, okay, what do I do when I get you hurt? See, that's the thing with like a Tank, with like an Inouye, like a Bud, like a closer, like a real closer. When you get like even Boots, a real closer, when they get you hurt, they know how to finish. Like they know how to go about getting it done. Like it's an art to that. And so I think Xander's gonna look at that film and be like, damn, if I would have just relaxed a little bit because he was hurt. You know what I'm saying? He gonna have his poker face on, but he was hurt. If my technique is a little bit better and I have a better approach, like maybe the outcome could have been different. I might have could have shocked the world, but he didn't. But what you have?
No, I was gonna say in the vein of what you're saying right there, it's the composure part of it is, and the art part of it is alluding to what I was saying. Keeping that right distance to where you're getting your shit off, but you could see anything that's going to come back to you. And when you look at finishers like Boots, you even look at some of the finishes that Xander has, the finishes of Terrence Crawford, the finishes of let's say Mason. You feel what I'm saying? Some of these guys, they're at these positions and where I'm safe enough that I could see everything that you may possibly throw back, but I'm offensively in my sweet zone. And kind of looking at the camp, I'm not even sure that going into this fight, the object may never have been or the thought process may have never been, what if we get him in a position to finish him? But them being young and then all the talking points of yada yada yada, it may have just been, we're looking to outpoint Boots. And if we should get him hurt, it is what it is. But our goal is to beat him by points. And if that's your goal, then you're not training for Boots what to do if you got him hurt. Because I just felt when you had him hurt, being that you wouldn't step back like that or turn him, you kept on giving him the ability to grab and hold on. You know what I'm saying? And I was just like, bro, push him back, put him off of you. Later on, he did that. You feel what I'm saying? When he was saying, yeah, I felt I was ahead. You feel what I'm saying? You could see him like pushing Boots back, pushing him around and stuff like that. And it was just like, okay. Then boom, you got caught again. So
either that or punch selection, because if somebody trying to reach out and hold you, the uppie is right there. Because they're going to have to like that, you know what I'm saying? You do that again, they're going to, you know. But this is what I was going to say before you go into something else. Maybe the idea was one of them referee stoppages. You know how where it's like you're not really hitting them, but you're doing enough and it's unanswered.
Yeah.
Maybe he was trying to do that. But if I swarm him and it look like I'm hitting them, because if you really look at that Lima shit, that's kind of like what happened. Like the ref, like when you go back and you look at it, like all of them punches didn't connect like that. Like the ref, it was just the work. It was a work rate stoppage, like unanswered punch stoppage. Like where it's like, okay, you know, he's not throwing nothing back because I got him in a position where I'm putting in work, and he can't really defend himself because he hurt. Maybe it was that. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man.
I don't know either, but it was just whatever that was. Those are your two biggest mistakes in this fight. You know what I'm saying? At least leading to the early stoppage against you. Overall, again, as I try to nitpick and look at this fight, again, I just saw so many things on both guys have that would be great cooks and saying, okay, if we're going to talk about Boots, all right, let's bring up the pros and cons. Back in the day, we used to get this type of shit. The pros and cons of the fight we just saw. You know what I'm saying? You would get it in the magazine or whatever. When I look at the pros and cons of this fight, they both still have some tweaking to do. They both still have some work that they have to close some things up. Now, no fighter is perfect. Every fighter, no matter what happens to them, no matter how great they get in their career, there's always maybe one inherent flaw that they carry with them that they just can't change. Ali's thing was clowning, showboating, overconfidence. Same thing with James Toney. Pure, blatant overconfidence. You know what I'm saying? When you look at other fighters, you see sometimes you may see their one flaw. Now I'm gonna say this: the one thing people are giving Boots a lot of credit on, could that eventually be his downfall? Because in that fight, you know what I did see a lot of? And it kept on making me think of this one fighter. Like, bro, you are good. But why am I getting these Sabril Matias vibes on you? Like, you're just taking way too much punishment for no fucking reason.
Yeah, I think, you know, I was gonna say, no pun intended, he got a little beard. Now, you know, Xander's not that big of a puncher. And the way I heard Breadman explain it, I think it was Breadman, he basically said, like, one of Boots' assets is that his vision is good to where he sees all the punches. So when you can see him, it ain't really going to hurt you like that. You know what I'm saying? Because you can see it, but we know the punches that you don't see are the ones that hurt you. The under hand speed ain't all of that. His power ain't all of that. And I think he got what I said. I said this on Cam show the other day. I was like, he got chin insurance. He relying on his chin insurance, and maybe one of these days he's not going to be able to handle that deductible, because it's different when somebody got speed, power, and accuracy. You know what I'm saying? Like a shot like that, like a Brian Norman, a hook from Brian Norman, an uppercut from Brian Norman, even a jab from Brian Norman. Whether you see that shit or not, you know what I'm saying? Especially the way he looking at Ronnie Shields, I don't know too many boxers that's gonna be able to take that shit, whether you see it coming or not. So, I think that's one thing. But to your point about the flaws, I used to say this all the time about Earl. People used to always say, "Man, we could been see Earl. We've been seeing all of the flaws and this and this and that." It's different because it's easy to see the flaw in somebody, but do you have the ability to capitalize on that flaw?
Exactly.
Who could slip one in? And Earl was getting away with stuff. It was like, yeah, I got flaws, but I'm going to impose my will on you, and you're not really going to be able to capitalize on my flaws. Bud was able to capitalize on his flaw, but everybody not going to be able to capitalize on the flaw, and so it's just going to be timing and the moment.
Now,
you know, where like you might get in there with the wrong person, and they saw you, they've been studying, they know, okay, this is the one thing he do, and this is the one thing or whatever. And familiarity, a la Tank and Roach. Like, it's so much familiarity, it's like you'll look at that and be like, oh man, well, he don't got no business getting in there with Devin and all this. Like, no, they got familiarity. Like, yeah, Devin and them got a little bit, but they got even more familiarity over there. We seen it with, like I said, with Xander and Baru, with Virgil and Boychuk. When there's familiarity, like we're gonna see this with the Albert Bell and Abdullah Mason. There's gonna be familiarity there because they've been sparring, and so there are certain things that you can be like, well, damn, normally Abdullah would be able to blah blah blah, but it's like, no, it's not no element of surprise. Like they've been in there like doing rounds together, sharpening each other. They know what each other's tendencies are, so this is gonna be even better chess match. So the flaw that they do see and that they know about, are they going to be able to capitalize that in that moment? And I think that's really what it was with Xander. They might have saw something and they might have capitalized on it, like the fact that he don't like Boots don't really do that hard guard every now and then, because a lot of people say that's a liability when you got a hard guard. Oh man, you just gonna put your earmuffs on. Yeah, it could be a liability, but if you're not using it, you're not always in it. But the fact you always got your hands down and you get, you rely on your chin insurance and your reflexes, a la like Roy. Roy relied a lot on his instincts. When those start going away, or you get somebody where it's like, damn, I didn't know he was that fast. I didn't know he had that kind of speed. Because I said it last night. I said, man, if Jamel Charlo catch you with the overhand right, it ain't gonna be no recovery. I was about to ask. Ain't gonna be no recovery. Ain't gonna be trying to hold. It's like, no, you're gonna be like loopy. At 54, anyway. Yeah. But
yeah, and that was the question I was gonna lead to. Like, you take that third round, and you replace Xander. Let's say with a Mel Charlo. Does the fight end in the third round? In my opinion, yes. If you took that third round and you put in a bunch of other fighters that is sharp. Go ahead.
You put in Bud. You put in even Bakram. You get Bakram when y'all in the phone booth like that. Bakram. You put Bakram, Bud, Fondor hit you like that. It's a couple people. Jamel, in that same situation. Even Virgil, I think if Virgil catch you like that, like it's a couple people to where it's like you can recover. You know what I'm saying? But like the likelihood of recovering is slim to none.
Yeah.
Hard
and that's, you could chalk that up to inexperience. You could chalk it up to the game. You could chalk it up to, I think people can chalk it up to anything that they want. And I just want people to understand, I'm asking these questions because I'm trying to have a rational conversation about looking at Jaron Boots Ennis and seeing what's next for him, seeing what's possibly next for him. And at the end of the day, I'm giving Boots all the props that he deserves on this, because you hear the Forever Boots channels, they're not giving him the props that we're giving him. The beard, the mere fact of, you having great recovery, you having a great sense of finishing. No matter how much trouble Boots got in, his power and the mere fact that he stayed somewhat calm was the thing that got him out of it.
And his confidence.
Yeah.
Like he never got, cause you know how you start seeing some people make business decisions, or they'll be like, all right, I'm gonna chill out. Like his confidence never dwindled.
And in that fight, bro,
that he always still thought like, I'm still, let me touch you. Like, I'm gonna keep trying. Like he never lost his confidence.
Exactly. And I'd have to say this, as far as confidence, given that confidence category, I would give them both a check in that category, because the crazy thing about that fight, even though I watched it twice, I still don't recall anybody fighting off the back foot for 7 fucking rounds, bro. I don't recall seeing the dude just jabbing, backing up, jabbing, backing up. Okay, when a guy gets hurt, okay, that's what you're supposed to do. You're employing your defense. But just as a pure tactic, they both came out and they met each other. I'm not running from you, you're not running from me. Oh shit, for real? Okay, then let's duke this shit out. And when you got two guys that's just willing to duke it out, this same outcome could have happened to Abdullah Mason. When Abdullah Mason decided to fight the fight he wanted with Sam Nooks.
Yeah.
The same outcome could have happened. And we saw Abdullah hurt. We saw Sam Nooks hurt. And it came down to the same tangibles that got Boots the victory. Heart, determination, and staying poised in the midst of bullets flying at you. You're a military man. You know that's the one thing they fucking teach you. When these bullets is flying and you hear the zzzz, all of that kind of shit, stay the fuck calm, because the minute you lose your shit is the minute you're gonna get your wig pushed back.
Yeah,
and
I think
that situation.
Yeah, I think Boots ain't have no respect for Xander. Like I think it was one of them ones where he didn't respect what was coming at him. Now that this happened, I think that this one of them times where it's like, okay, now he know, okay, 54.
I can't sleep on nobody.
Yeah, I can't sleep on nobody. Somebody that's slow, somebody that's, not the biggest puncher. Like at 54, you can't, because those are bigger guys shrinking down. You know what I'm saying? So I think that he's going to learn from that. He's going to put that in his rucksack. And that's the benefit of when you go through a fight like that. Like when you go like Xander, he's going to pick up, he's going to be like, okay, cool. Like, let me be smart. Like I'm not going to stink the joint up. I'm not going to just throw 200 punches and land 70. Like, no, I'm not going to slow it down like that. But let me be a little bit more smarter, a little bit more tactical. So they both want to walk away with something they can put in the rucksack, you know what I'm saying, to go on to the next fight. Now, this is the breaking news. They saying him and Fundora. Now, this was the big question when I put this up. This right here. Let's see. This was the big question. And I think I ruffled some feathers when I did this. When I did this, I was leaning towards Xander at the time, because I said, man, like dealing with Eddie, man, I don't know what to expect and whether we're going to get the big fights or the names that I want. And surprisingly enough, they saying that Fundora and Boots and them are already in talks for October, November.
Yeah, I heard that too.
That's the shit I'm talking about.
And this was the standard we both gave. We was like, look, I don't want to hear no fucking Virgil Ortiz right now. I just want to hear Fundora. You're letting me know you're better for the business of boxing. Fundora's the guy you're going right after, because you're telling us you want to be undisputed at 54. You're telling us you love the weight at 54. Okay, go after him. And if you say, you know what, I want to take a voluntary fight after I knock off Fundora, if that should happen, then I don't mind. Me personally, as a fan, I do not mind looking at you and Virgil, because you're giving me something that says this run. Xander, then Fundora, then Virgil. I don't have a problem with that schedule. I don't have that problem with that schedule at all, because you're more likely going to be forced to fight Virgil after the fact if you go on and beat Fundora, because I don't know if Eddie is ready to, feed Josh Kelly to you.
You on the Caleb Plant? You in the Caleb Plant plan, and I'm gonna tell you why. He got a fight coming up, and I don't know who he fight. I gotta look him up on Bodywork, but he got a fight lined up here soon. I didn't know that, but he got a fight lined up. And what's gonna happen is that position that Caleb Plant was in, when he was the last man standing. Because remember, when it got down to Caleb Plant, Canelo left him at the altar like Bud did Earl, and then he had to come back because it's like, you got to deal with this guy because he got the last stone, so you got to deal with him. And they got that Stadium of Light. He already got the signed contract with Boots' name on it, but he already signed it, so he already got a signed contract to fight Boots. But Eddie's going to use that as the last piece, so that regardless what happened, whether Fundora win, whether Boots win, they're going to have that shit at the Stadium of Light, or he's going to use his leverage of having that last belt saying, listen, I got 48,000 fans we can put over here. Like, why not? You know what I'm saying? So he's going to do that. Josh Kelly just got to win this next fight and wait for the result. So it makes sense for Boots and Fundora to get around. And we called this, but, we called it. But we was thinking that maybe it would have been one step. We would have been waiting on one fight. Like, it would have been Fundora and Josh Kelly, and then the winner would have got the winner.
Yeah, that's what we was originally on. Yeah, that's what we was originally.
But the way it's gonna work out. Yeah, the way it's gonna work out is that Boots gonna fight Fundora if the boxing gods and all the negotiations go good and everybody get what they want. Nobody's greedy, and everybody come in, then we'll get that. Then that last piece is Josh Kelly, and just like you said, man, he's just gonna be the sacrificial lamb. Even though I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Because I know Josh Kelly, that game plan to use him, he's gonna be more than one. He's gonna be one of the ones that's gonna use his legs. He ain't gonna be dumb and just go right in there.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But this is the last thing I want to say. Damn. I just lost my train of thought, but I hope that fight go through. Oh,
yeah.
I want to make an admission, y'all. I want to make an admission. I did not know. Like, you remember when I was saying, man, why are they putting all this stuff, talk about Fundora wanting the rehydration clause on if he was gonna fight Xander? That's true, bro.
What?
Yeah, I'm like, that kind of made me look like, is that just like you trying to be a super A side where you just want to make somebody wash your drawers and do your laundry and fix your noodles for you and hold your pocket? Like, I did not understand it, but it's true. I looked it up. He was asking for a rehydration clause for Xander. I don't understand that.
I got 2 points I want to talk about, and then I want to ask you this other question. One is, less than an hour after the fight, people were talking about Xander weight came in at 181 or 185.
Yeah, 180, yeah.
So I was like, okay, so I said, all right. And they said Boots came in at 168, the same weight that Bud came in when he fought Madrimov. And I think that's the sweet weight to come in if you're a 54-pounder and you want a good amount of resistance, enough weight on you, to add to that one hit quitter so you can really sit down on your punches. And I think 168, between 168 170 is around the sweet spot for a 54-pounder to rehydrate to. I'm like, okay, so if you're telling me this, you're telling me Xander put on 35 to 36 pounds, a minimum of of 26 pounds or some shit like that, and the human body putting on that much weight that fast is not gonna have an effect on you. I'm like, I don't know if y'all, had a day where you got a dog and, you wind up falling asleep the day before and you had to go to work the next day, and then you had to be at work late. So you like, damn, my normal time to feed the dog is done. And you wind up getting home at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and you feed your dog, and your dog just gets out there and he just scoffs down that food. 9 times out of 10, 2 or 3 minutes later, that dog is going to throw all of that food up. It's the same thing people go through when you like, damn, I'm mad hungry, and you get this big ass plate of food and you start going in on that shit, and you just sit back like, oh my God, my stomach is fucked, and you feel a little nauseous or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, I don't know the science behind rehydration. I don't know the science behind cutting the weight and dealing with the rehydration, but I do understand certain things about the human digestive system and overloading that system. You feel what I'm saying? And I'm not making any excuses with Xander, because he still performed to me. But I would ask, the mere fact that you came out with that game plan kind of let me know. And if people are going to tell me this thing that he put on all of that weight after, you had no choice but to come out and face boots like that and hope for the best. Because if you put on that type of weight and you're going into the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and let's just say it was a boxing match where you was moving around a lot, you're not going to have anything in the tank, and some really good body shots could have you Erling over in your corner. So
yeah, I think it was too much. I think it was too much. And that's why I say, when it came down to that dummy coming over to my channel about that video I did the other day, I'm like, that's why I say, let Devin get big as a house. Let him rehydrate and do all of that, and then have to move around. You're going to apply that pressure. You're going to be moving, and it'll work towards your advantage. So it's like how you want to play it. How you want to play it.
But I think it's not smart.
No,
I said scientifically, it's not smart unless you're a heavyweight.
Yeah, so I'm thinking if Xander might have thought that it was going to add to his punch resistance, and the reason why he didn't come out moving and all that was because he had that extra weight and he didn't want to gag. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's odd, man. I was thinking that scientifically, but I was reading because somebody else asked. Cause I think it was D Calico. He had asked me under one of the shorts or a post or something. He said, "Do you think he was juiced or whatever?" I said, "No." I said, "What I really think it was that he had all that time to rehydrate. He had almost damn near 36 hours to rehydrate because they weighed in at 9 o'clock in the morning on Friday. They damn near fought almost at midnight on Saturday going into Sunday. So he had all that time to rehydrate.
And if you look at
so that's how. At 36 hours, that's like a pound an hour almost.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. And it's like, how does the human body respond to that? Because as a chef, I do tasting menus. Within the scope of a tasting menu, you have to break that shit down into all the courses. So a 16 course means I'm basically feeding you, 1 to no more than 2 ounces if I'm gonna make 16 ounces, or something might be a half ounce, some little fried bullshit. You feel what I'm saying? But it has to weigh out, because in one seating, the human body can't consume healthy in a healthy manner more than a pound, and I think it's 1.25 pounds or 1.5 pounds. That's a crazy number in order for you to stay within the Goldilocks zone of your body performing the way it's supposed to. And that's a delicate balance between all the chemicals and the chemicals in your gut and shit like that. So it kind of makes sense to me to a certain degree of why he came out that way. 1, maybe to throw boots off, and 2, because you simply had no choice. And outside of that, I just wanted to, since the theme was we were going to kind of keep this short. This is actual fight week for Abdullah Mason. We kind of brought him up in just some examples and stuff like that. But I just would like just 9 minutes talking about Mason and Bell, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know, the way I'm feeling, I kind of got at somebody who was saying something weird like, oh, what's the name doesn't have any power, he doesn't have this, he doesn't have that. And I just asked the dude, I said, so basically you're saying Mason is just gonna go in there and knock this dude out in less than 5 rounds? Because the same things you're saying about Xander, those same things hold true for Albert Bell, but Albert Bell is older and he's coming up. So I'm just asking you, how does this fight work? And I was asking the dude, how does this fight work if that's your philosophy with Xander and Boots, and we're talking about Albert Bell? For me, I'm looking at it like Albert Bell's biggest strong point to date is his experience. You know what I'm saying? The number of years he has in the game, and I'm just like, Mason may have to come out and show us some new wrinkles to deal with a savvy boxer, a guy that knows how to move his feet, knows how to fight behind the jab extremely well, and knows his height. Yes, at times, to me, I've seen a couple of Albert Bell's fights where he does look a little awkward, and I would gather that because we're not used to seeing a very, very tall, skinny black dude like that. I mean, the last dude we had to see like that was probably Mark Breland. But Mark Breland moved like a little short dude. He had that Tommy Hearns effect. So I'm just asking you, how do you see that? How do you see that fight?
I believe that it's gonna come down to who is gonna take the risk. Now I know the dude is gonna take a risk, but he's gonna be having to take more of a risk because I already alluded to the fact that there's familiarity between them, but then the dimensions. So I was like, okay, well, worst case scenario, Abdullah got to take risks because he got to overcome the height and the reach. You know, and Albert Bell, he'll fight behind the jab. He's more technical. He might look awkward, I guess, but he's technical. So yeah, Abdullah might have to take the risk. But then I was thinking, if that concept of, oh, you got to take the strap from the champion, because who's the bigger star? Who the business of boxing gonna want? They're gonna want Abdullah to keep his hand raised. So I'm thinking, well, Albert Bell might have to take risks because if he don't and he fight a boring fight and he stink to join up, they're gonna be like, you didn't do enough, right? So I think that's gonna be a big element. But I know that Abdullah, he's ambitious.
Yeah.
Even though he's humble, he's ambitious. So I think it's gonna come down to Abdullah being able to execute, not get caught, and what actually happened in sparring. We're gonna actually see what happened in sparring, or who could capitalize on whatever they learned about the other guy in sparring.
Yeah.
So I think Albert Bell is like, man, he's looking at that's his Eminem moment. The way Ugas had against Pacquiao, this is his Ugas Pacquiao moment. At this time, he's a little bit older, and I don't think he can come out there and stink to join up. I mean, unless he just make it look like Abdullah can't do nothing with him, which I don't foresee. Yeah. Because Abdullah is very gifted. Yeah. So I think it's coming down to risk taking. Yeah. I think that's gonna be the biggest factor. Who's gonna take the more risk?
So if I'm looking at, like, I'm on BoxRec right now, looking at their numbers and stuff like that, it's an exact solid 10-year difference. Albert Bell is 33, Abdullah Mason is 22. Albert Bell is 6 feet tall with a 70-inch arm reach. Abdullah is 5'9" with a 74-inch arm reach. I stand next to some dudes that are 6 feet tall, and I can actually feel a difference. It all depends on, like, 5'9" is a weird height. You know what I'm saying? Because if you put on certain type of sneakers, people think you're taller. But if you just standing on on your bare feet, people like, damn, I didn't know you was that short. And you're like, what the fuck you talking about? I'm 5'9". Yeah, but you look kind of short. You know what I'm saying? He has kind of like, Mason has like that Crawford effect, not too tall, but long arms. Here's where it gets interesting. Abdullah Mason has 20 bouts total. Albert Bell has 29 bouts. Albert Bell put in 165 rounds. Abdullah Mason only has 20 rounds. And he had 71 rounds. And I'm not saying it like only. He's got 71 rounds where he put in work, got the people out of there that didn't belong with him. That's one of the criticisms we have for what's the tall dude we was just looking at before, a couple of weeks back? Was it Amari Jones?
Yeah, it's you got Omari, that's the Olympian. Amari is the one that used to be with Devin, who's nice at 160.
No, Omari the Olympian, the one we was talking about. Yeah. Like, bro, you got to really be able to step on the gas. These guys, you shouldn't be in there doing 6 and 8 rounds with. Abdullah Mason is getting those type of guys out of there. Amari Jones is doing other things, and even we looked at the announcers saying that might be a hindrance of Amari Jones getting bigger fights. You feel what I'm saying? So, the knockout ratio, even though Abdullah is younger, the knockout ratio also is a huge difference. Abdullah Mason is at 85%. Albert Bell is at, I believe, he's at 32.14. So
you're a boxer.
Yeah, so that tells me you're a boxer. You pretty much got the same amount of knockouts as Tim Bradley and a couple of other fighters that'll be Hall of Fames, but are solid boxers. So yeah, this is going to be pretty interesting. As far as like I'm resting on the laurels of saying this. Albert Bell is going to test the shit out of Abdullah Mason's boxing IQ. Okay, we sparred before, but there were things that either we were working on or we just wanted to see where Abdullah is or whatever. This right here is for real money and your opportunity. So the dynamics is going to be interesting in this fight. What I'm looking for in Abdullah, knowing that he's a young champion and there's still some questions I would like to see answered by him. You're facing someone who's got pretty much the same dimensions, but a much more skilled boxer. To be a boxer with a 32% knockout ratio, and you're 28-0, no draws, no nothing. You put belt to ass to people. So that's going to be something different to see in the making of Abdullah Mason. Yes, I think the business of boxing is going to want to see Abdullah get the victory and get the nod. If it's a close fight, I'm pretty much going to guarantee that fight is going to go to Abdullah Mason. But Albert Bell's performance could really put him in a nice sweet spot if he can give Abdullah Mason trouble and show that, Abdullah Mason through what we've been seeing, he's X, Y, and Z, but against skilled boxers, that might be his flaw. So, we'll see how this thing go, and that's where I'm gonna land my plane on that. And if we do another episode where we get on to these dudes, I'll do a little bit more research, but that's where I'm comfortable landing it right now.
Yeah, we definitely gonna do one this week. We're gonna do one. We let the beat build. We'll probably do one maybe the next episode, since it is fight week, and run down the whole card. In closing, I'm just gonna say this, man. I was kind of impressed by Ben Whitaker and his hand speed. I think he do need that step up. I would love to see him and Najee Lopez. His hand speed and his accuracy was just otherworldly compared to the guy that was in there. Emiliano El General Vargas. He impressed me because he came out, he said he made the decision that night to go southpaw and fought the whole fight like that. That's a wrinkle that's like, okay, that's, you kind of show a little, like, are you ready to get in there with a world beater? You know, I don't know. He's saying he want a former champ, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, no shit. Put him in there with somebody like Subriel right now. Put him in there with somebody like Sandor Martin right now. You know what I'm saying? Like that level, that caliber to see if he's ready. But the top dogs, I don't know, but I did like that wrinkle because I didn't know he could switch like that, and he stayed like that the whole month. The high shut a lot of people up. I heard people talking about he was gonna get stopped, and I seen Omari in the crowd, and people were saying, Omari, you stop him. I'm like, man, y'all gotta stop, man. Jahai, he won't let you get no real leverage off on your punches, man. You really gotta know what you're doing in there with Jahai. You gotta really line him up because his awkwardness and how, you know, he won't really let you really get, you might touch him, but you ain't gonna get nothing too hard, too clean off on him, you know what I'm saying? But I was impressed by Jahai for getting the job done, man. A lot of people was betting against him. It's just for some reason people don't like Jahai. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what it is. You know, I don't know what it is, but I was impressed by him. El Rayo got his get back against De Los Santos, and I was questioning whether De Los Santos was in any real kind of shape because he was big as a motherfucker. He ain't fought in so long in that last fight. You can count it because he got in the ring, but it wasn't no real. You got to do it out of there in less than a minute, so it wasn't nothing. And I think some of that was ring rush. I felt bad for Brian Norman because that's his fighter. You know what I'm saying? I felt bad for him, but I am happy for El Rayo, man. El Rayo looking like he learned some things. He took some loss. He took a couple L's, and I always rock with El Rayo, man. I like him. So he done got his get back and knocked out both of the dudes. He on his Jamel Charlo shit where in a rematch, Jamel gonna knock you out. Historically, if he rematch you, he's gonna finish you in that next one. That's what El Rayo is doing. So I was happy for him. And I think the people of note, Juan Ma, I think that little dude nice, you know what I'm saying? But we gotta see him step up. But like the card overall, I'll give it an A. You know what I'm saying? I'll give it an A. You know, all of the A sides won, or well, should I say all of the favorites won. You know, there was no, you know, upset. We always been looking for the upset. But I just wanted to put that in here on this so that once we get to the next episode, I already put all that out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. I just got one thing to say about Mr. Vargas. You said you wanted a former champ, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to really let your nuts hang and show that you can put on big boy pants and be the person that your pops was and wear the Gucci suits and the watches and the hair slicked back. I don't know if the way he talks, it says this. Do you know you're in the same weight class as Tito Mercado?
He gonna play the looking back game.
How can he play this looking back game with Tito Mercado, bro? Like that is just like, how do you play that game? No. You play that game, bro. I'm bro. You're gonna make me look at you differently. If he try to play that game, it's like nope. As a boxing fan, we cannot let that man do this because Mercado is chasing the champions. Mercado is in the same league of people talking about Frank Martin, Albright, and some of the other guys who are already at the upper echelon. Look at who you just fought, and you're gonna tell me that it's not there?
What you think about that?
And I'm saying for Vargas.
Yeah. What you think about that? What you think about Jermaine Ortiz? Him and Jermaine Ortiz.
That's also a good one. That's also a good one. I wouldn't even mind Adam Azim.
Because they ain't gonna risk the biscuit. They especially with no Tito. Ain't nobody. Tito gonna probably have to knock out two. Like he gonna have to knock out two more people. You know what I'm saying? Before he even, Cause ain't nobody trying to fight the dude. That's just straight up. They not trying
Real
to fight that
boogeyman.
man.
He's
He's a legitimate boogeyman right now. So that's it, really, man. But I appreciate you, man. Thanks for being honest, man. I'm telling you, man, we the last of the Mohegans. It's a couple people. It's a dude named Cliff. He called into the Boxing Voice. You would swear we was talking on the phone for 3 hours, man. The way he called in, got his call, said everything I was thinking. He's like, I don't know what fight y'all was watching, but I just appreciate people that can keep it real, man. We're gonna say what our eyes see. We're gonna be real boxing hands. We're gonna be critical of everybody. We put them all on the scale. We want to know the length, the width, the depth, the breadth, the buoyancy, the capacity, the volume of them all. We measure them all. We had the same criticism. We talking about this guy's defense. We talking about this guy's chin. We gonna just keep it a buck. We not gonna like all that stand on code. Like then you gotta pick and choose when you're on code or what not to say, and if I'm being too. You don't gotta worry about that if you treat them all the same. You give everybody their salutes if they deserve them. You give everybody their fair share of criticism, but you don't berate them or belittle them because they all get hit in the head for a living. So I appreciate that you're gonna be solid, man. You always gonna be solid and say what it is. You know what I'm saying? If you come out, you get a pick wrong, you gonna say, hey, I give him my crow. Yeah, I had this, explain it, and we're gonna move on to the next one. So I appreciate that, AC.
Yeah, for
Rare
sure.
breed, brother.
Yeah, on to the next one, man. And salute to the channel, salute to the chat, man. Let's enjoy this week of boxing, and you know, it is what it is, man.
All right, man. Have a good evening. Well, another good one in the books, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like we gonna do that. We critique the sport, like, you know what I'm saying? We're not here to be no cult. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna morph into no old other fan base. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna stop liking the guys that we like because, you know what I'm saying, whatever. We're gonna give respect to the up and coming stars. We're gonna salute the guys that's moving the way we need them to move for the sport of boxing, not for our own self-interest. So we can be like, I told you so we want to be part of some winning team or something like that. We're not gonna do that, man. Salute to Jaron Boost Ennis, man, for paving his way. You know what I'm saying? I hope that you get that Fundora fight, man. You get that Fundora fight, man, and that get across. We'll see what happens when you get to that step, you know what I'm saying? And that fight, and the beginning of your run has already started. You know what I'm saying? You just got to keep going. You got to get on your David Benavidez shit. You know, and your fan base will go up. You know, right now, I'm still in my evaluation stages with a lot of these guys. And I'm getting more and more towards of not having particular favorite guys. I like the guys that are moving the way the sport needed to move. Win, lose, or draw. So I'm still a Brian Norman fan. I'm liking and digging what O'Shaquie's doing. I'm saying that Gary Antoine ain't getting the credit he deserves. I'm waiting for my guy to get back and get active. You know what I'm saying? But I'm looking for Mel to get back. I hope, you know, Earl come back and he at least have put forth a good valiant effort. Hopefully his punch resistance still there. You know, maybe he can make a little baby run on his way to hang him up. But the guys that are doing what's needed to be done, like the Abdullah Masons of the world, the Tito Mercados of the world, the Gary Antoines of the world, the O'Shaquie Fosters of the world, you know, Abdullah, Appetite for Smoke, Brian Norman, you know, who putting it on the line. He's talking about Keyshawn and what, you know, if Keyshawn won it, you know what I'm saying, he can get it. Those guys, man, they're not gonna pussyfoot around. They're gonna give us the fights that we want, you know, and you can model yourself. If you're a new up and coming guy, model yourself after these guys. Even what Xander was able to do. Even Andy Cruz, the way he's moving. You know, Raymond Mortai, the way he's moving. There are guys that's moving that's going to push the needle and push the sport going forward. They're not prima donnas. You ain't got to worry about no cults out here, you know what I'm saying, trying to berate you and belittle you for having a real honest opinion and giving a real honest assessment, man. Let's let boxing talk be boxing talk where we can be critical of everybody. And it's not hating. That shit is starting to get on my nerves. You give a critical analysis, but you can be critical of everybody else. I mean, if somebody critical of you, you're hating. Knock it off, man. This is the Fruits and Veggies, Not That Reggie. That fact-based content, not opinion-based, even though we have ours. Silence is consent is the name of the channel or the mantra of the channel. meaning that all it takes for evil to prevail is for men and women to remain silent. Hopefully, through the dialogue we had, you can put something in your rucksack and march on to the next conversation. But this was Unstrapped, where Xander Zayas just got relieved of his WBA straps by the Philly phenom Jaron Boots Ennis, man. Y'all know I could talk this boxing all day and all night. Anyways, thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Bodywork.